Oh, yeah. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Biblical Hitmen, folks. My name is Steven, host of the show. We have another great guest tonight, William Ramsey. He operates William Ramsey Investigates. It's another great podcast in the podcast community. Be sure to go ahead and support him and all the places that you can do all of that. But folks, if you want to come support me and my show, head on over to patreon.com/the Biblical Hitmen. You can get all of your ad-free early access and community chats over there and direct chats as well. But don't forget, come over to the YouTube and hit that subscribe button, like the show, and share it with your friends. Also, drop a comment down below about your thoughts and just your interest and other topics that you want to hear discussed on the show. It's one of the best places I can interact with the community as well. Don't forget about the audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, and Spotify. Anywhere you can consume all of your audio content, that's where the show is. If you like the show, you had a good time, you want to be nice, just make sure you leave that 5-star review and hit that follow button, hit that notification bell. But with all that stuff aside, what's up, William, man? Welcome.
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, dude, we just did a pretty awesome show. Got a lot of great feedback from it. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like we were literally, it's one of those shows I've done where you're literally discovering stuff and researching during the 90 minutes, not only having a preset presentation, but like making connections. I know we were talking in the pre-show. I think that it was a huge breakthrough in the Epstein investigation. Like maybe one of the most important ones that's taken place. Like I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah. The mirror, right? The mirror in the face.
I vaguely remember you mentioning a mirror, and then it clicked something in my mind about what Epstein said at the very end. Like it's like the perfect time for him to make this statement. At the very end of the 2-hour discussion with Bannon, he says, "Are you the devil?" And he says, "No, but I have a mirror." And Bannon doesn't quite, for people who didn't see the show, go back and check out the show we did about Epstein being interviewed by Bannon, but Bannon doesn't quite register it. And I think the public doesn't either, because it comes across as something that doesn't follow. But then when you research it again, it's like he's saying he knows about scrying or something enough to know to contact Satan or the devil through mirrors, which is really profound and very, very deep, and confirms kind of this other stuff about him, like his perception of himself. It's kind of sneaky and backdoor manipulator. And I just remember you kind of jogged my memory. Like I've looked through a lot of the stuff DeviantArt that we're going to go over today, and there's a lot of mirrors. And that was kind of the thing that kind of like, oh, wow. So maybe there's something more profound here. People have to watch that video over and over and think, I'm curious to what your audience would think about seeing that statement, because I do think it was like a revelation of truth, or maybe his methodology, and also an inside joke at the same time.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I mean, just the network he was a part of. I still think, like, I mean, with all the conclusions we can make from the Epstein files, I'm wondering if maybe people like you that have really devoted a lot of time to it, if you're even a quarter of the way through or halfway through.
I don't think so. It's really interesting because I feel like it's a huge elephant, and maybe I've been like touching the right front leg, and like there's I can tell this part, but then somebody else is on the tusk, and somebody's looking at cryogenics, and the other person's looking at his financial stuff. There's a huge geopolitical aspect to it. This is the art that we're going to talk about today. There's this kind of new world order aspect to it, espionage. So yeah, I think you're absolutely.
Wow. Real quick, brother, man, before we get into the meat of the episode, where can the folks support you, and where can they check out all of your work?
One of the best ways to support is just listen to William Ramsey Investigates. I've done other shows, so you can check that out, podcast. I do have my YouTube channels back for now, 6 or 7 months, but you can check out my YouTube channels. I'm streaming to 2 of them right now under William Ramsey Investigates. And then My Patreon. I'm pretty active on Patreon. I post a lot of stuff there. Doesn't have ads, so you can check out my Patreon. I'm pretty responsive there. And I post a lot of PDFs. Like I'll post this PDF when we're done and this video there, so people can check it out there too. So got a few options.
Awesome, man. Real quick, I mean, what do we before we get into it, like what was your most magnificent find, I guess, with the Epstein files?
I mean, other than the mirror, I think the mirror is it. But
Man.
also, I would say some of the darker occult aspects of him, like because the guy was always like writing about that, so was
Mhm.
interested in the books and things like that, and also maybe overall, if there was like a panoramic view of Epstein, is that they were pigeonholing him as just a pedophile. The dude was part of a very vast network and almost industrial size abuse. Like these girls are coming from all over the place. They're Turkey, like you figure it out, like Turkey, East Europe, Nordic countries, Britain, France, Mexico, South America, Brazil, the US too. So it was like a underground sub rosa culture that maybe the people who don't have that much free time and money like these guys do wouldn't see during the. But I think it was ubiquitous in his social class and the class he hung out with, his black book, so to speak.
Yeah. Well,
Like their attitude towards women is a commodity, almost like a furniture. Like you'll just see pictures of them talking and there's some girl in the background. They redacted them in the files, but there's some like young girl just sitting around always all the time or giving them massages. And it's just like, wow, this is
right.
really how they live. This was almost like a Roman emperor or something like that, or a Roman elite Roman person with a slave, almost like that. It almost brings that to my mind.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see how kind of obsessed that not only Ghislaine, but also Jeffrey, that they were very into Atlantis, the mysteries of Atlantis. I mean, the Bimini Road, right? I think they were obsessed with Casey's work in particular because Casey talks about Bimini Road, he talks about the Sphinx, he talks about all these different things, and I think that I don't think that, but I know that they would go and take submarine trips, even with Stephen Hawking's, and go down there with intent to find something, right? Take pictures, try to retrieve some sort of ancient wisdom or knowledge from the root races of theosophy, the Lemurian and the Atlantean root race that Blavatsky talks about. I think they knew about it. How else do you know about Atlantis? I know Plato is known for talking about it, but Blavatsky was the next, and then Rudolf Steiner, and then Casey, and those are really the big hitters from where we can get all those mysteries from and stuff. But what are we getting into today, man?
Well, just the kind of deviant art. I could have called it degenerate or transgressive art, but his interest in art, as I looked into it and just seeing like pictures of his locations, right? Each location had this strange stuff. When we went over some of the stuff that I hadn't seen before at Little St. James, but in each one of those places, in Manhattan, in Miami Beach, in Zorro Ranch, and in Little St. James, he just had weird things going on, weird symbolisms and weird things. I do, just to follow on what you just said, I think he was an armchair esotericist, if not a very, very sophisticated one at his age by 66. He must have had a lot of talks with a lot of kind of edgier characters. So like, I think you're right. Like that was just maybe one component, his interest in Atlantis. But yeah, so a lot of strange things, but then it also, I think it's an insight into his character, is the kind of art and artists that he associated with. I think those are huge tells. And some of the stuff, if maybe you watch the news, it's very sacrilegious. Like there's a lot of sacrilegious elements, and some artists that were in the news, like the Moral Majority. I'm old enough to remember this huge uproar over one of the artists that Epstein was very kind of close to. Like this artist, Andre Serrano, was close enough to Epstein to like be in Cuba and ask him for a loan, like a short loan. Like you have to know somebody well enough to ask him for $5,000. But I think that it's really an insight into his character and his interests. So I think it's really important to look into the aspect of his art interest. And I think that that was kind of like one of his, maybe as a predator, one of his kind of like Serengeti, so to speak. Like that's where he would pick up on women and do a lot of trades and also associate with other people in his network.
Yeah, art tells a big story, right? I mean, it's very close to symbolism.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know,
There was it's actually a really interesting article. I did another show. It was about kind of the cow art. It was done by a site. It was an article. Like I was reading a lot of stuff I would never read, but it was really an article about how art is an indicator of character, and it was on one of these. Let me see if I can find it. It was on one of these kind of things that I would never read, like artdeco.com or something like that. But what was interesting about that article, for a number of reasons, is that that article had this picture, and on that picture is Marina Abramovich of the Podesta Pizzagate infamy. And she's involved in her art, is also involved in Epstein. There's like one thing I can bring up where this Edge group tried to facilitate, well, I think they did. They facilitated a meeting between Marina Abramovich of like spirit cooking infamy and all of the tech giants of Northern California in Palo Alto. And I think that's a huge tell. And I'm trying to find this one thing, but I think it's just one of the interesting aspects of this whole thing is like these people are, associated with this. Is like you said, it's an insight into their character of what they choose. They're not choosing
Right.
like pastoral things or impressionists or things like that. Literally like Slaughter of the Innocents, Gates of Hell, all this other stuff, which are to me pretty unsavory. I would never put that stuff in my
Right. I even think there's another lady, I forget her name, but if anyone in the chat remembers it, she's very close to Travis Scott, and Travis Scott has done photography with her. She does fashion shows. Her husband, I think, owns a clothing line. It's just very, very satanic. Number one, they all dress in like all black all the time. Their teeth are even black. Their fingernails are black. Everything's very dark, pasty white skin, all that kind. And it's nothing against if anyone like, has that kind of vibe with them. But the artwork that they do is just very demonic. There's an expression that art reveals. It could be good or bad. You can get a vibe from it right away.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when you're done checking out all of this stuff, I think you get the impression that this is his character. It's not pretty. And like even the pictures on the wall, it's just him. It's kind of like this other insight into his own maybe narcissism or self-interest as a bachelor, well, we think he's a lifelong bachelor. He seems to have had like relationship where he's a godfather to certain children and stuff, but there's no evidence of him ever getting married.
Oh, so here's that lady I was talking about. So she's another
yeah,
one
I've heard of her,
that
yeah.
that kind of is in the community, probably into spirit cooking, probably into rituals and that kind of the black magic type stuff. It's just weird, man. What these celebrities are into.
The international art scene has gotten darker and darker. It's changed in a generation, in my opinion. So it's really changed from maybe kind of like haute couture to like almost like art for witches or something like that. Like I've done shows on Balenciaga and all of their
Yes.
references and all that stuff. And it's just never ending kind of like witchcraft, darkness type stuff. It's really wild.
Yeah. Oh
Trying to
man.
find this one art by this girl who has it. It's just an interesting article that like you could just go watch yourself, and there's Marina Abramovich like right there. It's really wild.
I got up the I'm gonna share the slideshow that you sent me. And I'm not sure where you want to kind of start with this. I mean, we could start, I guess, at slide 1 and go through whatever.
Well, I think the aspect is it also, I put up this kind of like video. It's an AI video, but it
Mhm.
talks about the art industry. I think it might be a good place to start, how the art industry is used as a financial vehicle for that isn't really above board, but I think
Gotcha.
it's really interesting. It says art.
Billionaires pay millions of dollars for paintings that look absolutely terrible. It's not because they love ugly art. It's because they understand something you were never taught. Here is how it works. When the tax authorities send a billionaire an $80 million tax bill, they don't pay for it like normal people. Instead, they go shopping. Not for a yacht, not for a mansion, but for a painting. They drop $50 million on something that looks like a child threw paint at a wall. But here is what most people completely miss. They do not hang it in the living room. They store it in a free port. A free port is basically a high-security warehouse where the ultra-wealthy park their assets and bypass most tax rules entirely. The painting just sits there, tax-free. Now here is where it gets powerful. They put it up for auction. Other billionaires in the same circle start bidding against each other. Not because they want the ugly painting, but because by doing so, they artificially inflate the price on paper. That $50 million painting. It is now valued at $80 million. And here is where the real move happens. They do not sell it. They donate it to a museum. And the moment they do, the government hands them a full $80 million tax write-off. That original tax bill? Gone. They paid zero to the government, offloaded the painting, and now the world calls them generous, art-loving philanthropists. The museum gets a headline. They get to keep their $80 million. So the next time you see an ugly painting sell for millions, understand this. To billionaires, it is not art. It is a financial weapon disguised as culture, and the system was built to let them use it. If you want to learn more ways billionaires protect their wealth, comment wealth and I will personally send you my playbook.
Whoa.
And if you remember from our last discussion about Epstein and Bannon, he called himself a philanthropist, right? Same word used there.
Yes.
So I think this is like one of the things they do. And I've looked through a lot of the pictures of Epstein. There are pictures of art pieces in storage. There's a lot of them. And I actually think I show one of them in this slide. So he may have been doing stuff like that with his friends. So imagine like you're at the inside and you're like, I got this piece, it's 40. Why don't you and me go in and we'll go to Sotheby's and bid it up to 65. And then we'll send the thing to the museum at 65 million. I have a $65 million tax bill. I negate that tax bill. I'll give you 5 million. Imagine people doing it. I'm not saying somebody did that. I have no idea, but do you see how you could actually artificially game the system that way?
Right.
Like because there's weird things that happen with in the Epstein network, where Wexner sold that huge, amazing mansion that used to function as a private school to Epstein for like $10. And then the same thing happened with Lutnick. Like he got sold his house for like $10. Like why? It's not a standard sale. Like obviously something else is going on. So Epstein was like that kind of person, you know. He was definitely that kind of person who, knew how to kind of like manipulate money. And actually, these guys, like, there are things in this where there's like stolen art, piracy. Like they stole all my art, and that's what this is. This is Maria Farmer. It's redacted in the background, but she claims that she had some of her art stolen by the Epstein squad. So that's what this one. And you can see the EFTA number there. So.
Yeah, that's so it looks like a vase. I mean, but what's on the table there? It looks like
I don't know,
a rock setup or something.
I don't know, but you can see that she actually said that she advised Epstein to get some art about rape, like it's known as the rape.
Really?
Yeah. So like people have to look into this stuff and see what happened to these pieces. Were they sold? Were they donated to museums, things like that? I haven't gotten that far into it at this point.
So this one's a depiction of a man standing in a doorway observing a nude woman on a sofa, which was an illusion. Farmer recently told the New York Times to Edgar Degas, interior also widely known as the rape. Yeah, it's it's wild.
Yeah, no, that's the wild one, and it's
Oh,
also
this kind of reminds me, like in the Titanic movie, a little bit how she's kind of laying down. I don't know. It's way off.
Yeah,
topic.
that's from ArtNet. So there's a lot. Like I didn't know this. Like I don't read the art stuff. I'm not one of those type of, that's not my kind of like genre. But there are a lot of articles about Epstein and his art and these art things. And ArtNet. I think it's artnet.com is one of them. There's tons of articles about it. It's amazing. Like I just like, wow, you guys have really been writing about that. So the interest in Epstein is definitely there.
This one we have a whoa.
This one is the intro to the mansion in Manhattan, and it's some kind of like black angel. You talked about that Negretto motif.
Mhm.
So like this angelic thing on a rope in the center up above the stars or in the sky, and the weird gilded stuff too. Almost like Trump, what Trump likes.
Right. It's almost like it's kind of dressed like a bride in some sort of way, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, definitely the goddess is so tied into all of this stuff too. And the one thing too about the goddess is she's known as the queen of heaven, right? So it's like heaven, the skies.
Right, and that could be it. That could be it. There's also like behind him, and when there's a Bannon picture, I'll see if I can find it. But there's two pictures of like beheaded Christian motifs. They're wearing bishops' hats, and it's weird. This is called Three Little Girls. I forgot this one. I haven't. It's this is one of the pieces that he bought, and it's like little girls on display.
Wow.
It's called by Damien Loeb, Little Miss Pink Tomato, 1995.
What the heck, man? What was his deal with recruiting all these women? Because there's a bunch of different stories out there, breeding programs, all, genetic manipulation, all kinds of stuff.
I think they were doing a lot of weird stuff. I think they were trafficking them. They were manipulating them. And then some of there's 3 or 4 stories out of the Zorro Ranch where like girls have woken up on like an operating table or something, like they don't remember stuff with amnesia. So I think that they were either harvesting eggs. I think we talked about it last show, like
right,
harvesting eggs or something, and trafficking those.
Oh, there's the famous Bill Clinton photo, right?
Correct. That's right in the walkway on the intro. And you can see that's a picture that I think the feds took right when they broke in there, I think in July of 2019. But it's an entryway. You can see on that second picture if you scroll down a little bit. That is him in the infamous blue dress, and obviously the red shoes, right? Red shoe symbolism,
right?
And
well, real quick, what's the red shoe symbolism?
These guys all even like Tony Podesta and Bill Maher. It's something to do with red shoe. I guess it's like a reference to Wizard of Oz. I don't know. I don't know the full totality. Maybe
very Gnostic.
Yeah.
And it looks like Bill's pointing at the camera.
Like he's looking right at you, right?
Yeah. And then you got George Bush Jr., right?
It's the same artist.
Okay.
That did the same artist that did Bill Clinton did George Bush and Obama in the White House with an nganga or a cauldron. Literally.
Wow. And then you got Obama. Very surprised that there's, maybe not surprised, but, nothing contributing any connection to Donald Trump or anything like that.
Here's what it says here. In Western folklore and occult literature, red, especially red footwear, has long been associated with pacts made with the devil or lower spirits. In Goethe's Faust, the titular character binds himself to Mephistopheles, the devil, to gain earthly power and knowledge, after which he is famously tasked with wearing specific symbols and garments. Red shoes are frequently tied to this archetype. They represent a deal with the devil, where the wearer trades spiritual salvation for worldly ambition, sex, and or power. There you go.
Oh wow. Oh, one thing too, I remember seeing on his desk was in that video that I sent you or that we watched together of his library. On his desk, it looked like he had jester shoes, right?
Interesting.
And I'm trying to look up if there's anything interesting with occult symbolism with that.
I did notice something in that thing that we were watching. I noticed there was something on his desk that I hadn't noticed before, which is like a religious image of two people bowing down. Okay, I'll show this is not in the files that I showed you, but I did get a screenshot of it. Let's see if I can pull this up.
I'll share this with everybody.
Can you see this right here? This is kind of a screenshot from one of the dancing girls. If you look at the bottom right-hand side, there's clearly a woman who looks like she's in some kind of like religious garment bowing over. There's a man and a woman. So it's almost like they're bowing at him while he's on his desk, right?
Right. What in the world?
And then there's like the weird, earth thing. Like that used to be a big symbol, is to have a globe, It's like a symbol of power and like putting my hand on the earth.
Right.
But, I don't know. I didn't see the gesture shoes.
Let me see here.
If you can see any of these pictures.
Yeah. So where's this library? Where's that library at?
That isn't a library. That's his office inside of the Manhattan building.
Ah, okay.
So it's that one desk.
This
one
is
of many
the,
desks. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is interesting. So these are kind of the style shoes that he had on his desk in his library. It says, in the occult, jester curled tip shoes symbolize the reversal of natural order, liminality, and the sacred fool. The upward pointing phallic like tips represent awakened consciousness and sexual energy, while the deviation from standard footwear reflects stepping outside societal and spiritual constraints. Also represents reversal of natural order, phallic and generative energy, crossing between worlds, and magic.
There you go.
There you go. That's him for you.
Did we do the show with Marr wearing those gesture shoes?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's Bill Moore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's wearing the magical clothing, and I have an old thing. It's in one of my old. This is like I collect stuff, and then it has more meaning. Like Pizzagate has huge meaning now after Epstein, but I have an old picture of Bill Maher joking about going to the island. Like he literally, so that guy who's in real time with Bill Maher, like a guy controlling the culture, is part of the Epstein network. I mean, it's still active, man. It's everywhere.
Let me get this up here just to kind of run, so at least show some of the people what I was talking about. You could see the jester shoes. Where are you? There it is. See him right here?
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. So that's the desk at Little St. James.
Yep. Very cryptic.
Wow, and it seems like that's there as like a art piece. Like it's
yeah,
like, it's not there like he's gonna put them on and chill out or whatever.
Right.
They've captured Bill Maher wearing weird clothes. Let me see if you can bring that up. So,
yeah, gotcha.
It's almost like a jester outfit right there. But somebody like, here he is in the Red Shoe Club right there on the right. There it is. This is from X.
Yep. There it is. There. Whoa.
There they are. That's the whole squad. Tony Podesta.
There they are.
What Tony Podesta had that crazy picture of the person in agony, right?
Mm-hmm.
The person on their back. I'll bring that up too. I have that. And one of the interesting things, and I'll have to show this to you at another thing because I didn't prepare the slides, but Epstein liked to take pictures of girls in this posture.
Really?
Arch of hysteria. Is there something they know that we don't? I mean, obviously, I think they do. Like they're kind of dark artists or dark people, but there's tons of pictures of Epstein with like taking girls like in this pose. We'd have him pose like this. Does that mean
Well,
he's secretly torturing them?
What would you what?
I don't know.
Oh man, what
I'm
would you
asking the
say
question,
the
but-
pose? What would you say the pose is? Like a
Like somebody in pain. Like if this is his, like didn't isn't this inspired by Dahmer?
so
I
that's
thought he had somebody like in this pose or something.
so this pose is basically like you're arching all the way back, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like that pose that The Exorcist did coming down the stairs or something like that. Let me see if I can
find these pictures of like these women just in this crazy pose.
That's wild.
There's like 5 pictures in the Epstein files of women making this crazy pose. I'm not exaggerating.
Jeez.
Yeah. I'd have to scroll through. It'll take me forever. I have too many files.
Too much work on the
Let
guy.
me see if I have the. This is one. I mean, it's kind of an inversion. This is literally. This just shows you the stuff he's involved in. This
Mhm.
has been redacted, but it's very dark. But this is like literally one of the poses. You can see the EFTA. I don't know if you want to show that.
Yeah, that's fine.
The EFTA numbers, EFTA 016337774. He has a lot of these kind of pictures, guys.
Oh wow.
It's not pretty, yeah.
Jeez. Do you think that there's like underground tunnel system on the island?
I think I found that was the case. I did find stories about it, but there was actually something that I found that showed that on the island there was an underground element. Let me see if I can find it for you. But there's like verified that there's tunnels under. There's like what you see above the surface. There was stuff underneath it. I guess is what is. There were like 2 stories, but one story is underground.
Right. And I even I think it's possible. Well, how many? He had, what was it, sulfuric acid delivered to the island, right, or something. He had some
Right,
sort
yeah.
of acid delivered to the island, and there was a bunch of cleanup crews that were there cleaning up a bunch of things, trashing things, dissolving things. Basically like damage control, in my opinion.
Well, it wasn't just that he ordered it. He ordered it the day that the grand jury was assembled to look into his stuff. So
Right.
that means that somebody called somebody in his network and said there's a grand jury in Manhattan looking into you. It's like, I need 655-gallon drums of hydrochloric acid.
Yeah.
That's like the thing is like he knew dates. And I'll show you on this one. He knew the dates of the Massacre of the Innocents. This is an interesting 2018, so this is close to the end. It's from Peggy Siegel, his publicist. Where have you been? What's up with the Caribbean islands? Staff still sleeping in the tunnels? Retrieved all the furniture out of the ocean? Did you take photos? So maybe there's a
Right.
storm or something.
Have you ever seen James O'Keefe's video of them talking about the inside of his temple? What they took some footage of it. They got a little bit of footage of it. And I've seen some other independent researchers break down the symbolism of it, and it really relates to like the monetary system and astrology. Looking at the stars.
The whole top is an astrological. like
Yeah.
a picture of all of the constellations and stuff.
Right.
And in a very ornate way too. Like they put some money into it. Like it wasn't like haphazardly done. Like they either commissioned an artist or did something. But there were also masks in there. And,
Yes.
but some of the stuff, the pictures that were taken were when the feds went to the island. So maybe O'Keefe or his assets went back there or something like that.
What's your take on the faces on the wall? You know, the masks.
I think they were doing something else. I think they had victims in those chairs for another reason. That wasn't dentistry. Like they were doing something else. They had kind of at that time, well, in 2019, they had kind of those things that sterilized. Like you might know this, but I'll show you the pictures. But they had stuff that sterilized beakers and things like that. Like why would you have that in your home? You know, like I'll show it to you. Like why would they have like this sterilization stuff? Like it's really wild that they would have it. So I think they were either experimenting or doing something. But I'll show you this. Here it is. This is it. Look at this picture. This is from the EFTA. Like this might be familiar to you. But there's two different file numbers. There's actually three different file numbers. So the first one is the SDNY. That means that's when the government from New York went down there and took pictures right at the beginning in July of 2019. And then it was recategorized and then recategorized again. But the most recent recategorization is EFTA 01303312. And these two, this is like an M9 Ultraclave. And this other one has a name for it. I can't remember what it is, but I looked it up. It's Bio Soap. These are fairly sophisticated, you know, what's
cleaning equipment?
Cleaning equipment, yeah. For what?
Sanitation.
Like just for himself? Is this just for his own teeth, or what's going on?
Oh, I see where you know,
because that's what the chair is, right? Isn't that a dentist chair?
Right. You know, even in EMS, during the times of 2020 and 2021, we all had to kind of put these boxes in the back of the ambulance every time we took like a COVID patient, and we had to autoclave the entire thing. But the stuff it actually was really bad. It was really bad for even just the surfaces of the back of the ambulance. So it got taken out of pretty much being used. And it's meant to kill everything, like sanitize everything. Even if there was blood everywhere, it would sanitize the blood. The blood would no longer have any life in it. That was weird.
Yeah, if you pull up that picture, there's the masks and stuff. One of them looked exactly like Lutnick. But
yeah, it's weird.
It's very weird. The other thing that's weird about that too is that thing in the back behind the chair is kind of like either a massage table or a birthing chair, a birthing assembly. It's not the chair that's the giveaway. It's what's directly behind it.
I see what you're saying.
This thing right here. I can't really show it to you, but
I see what you're saying.
This thing, what is that?
Is that
maybe that is a chair, but I think it folds out.
Right. It looks like it folds maybe towards the other way, opens up a little bit. And so this was on his island.
This is on his island. He had a dental chair in Miami Beach as well.
I mean, I get it. You're on an island. You're in the middle of nowhere. Don't really have a dentist around the corner.
You have to take three things to get to the island. You got to take a boat and an airplane and something else, right? So.
Yeah. Wild. I'm looking at some of these photos here. Wait, what do I have up here? Oh, let me remove that.
Yeah, that's not the slides. Kind of bouncing around.
There we go. Yeah, we talked about this one on your show. That was kind of like a with the mirror, right? The mirror in the face.
This is mentioned. Actually, there's a really good program. It's called Thin White Line or something. They interview people whose lives are really miserable, like drug addicts and prostitutes, but they've done a lot of Epstein victims, some of whose names I don't know, except this one whose name is like Lacerdo. She was ethnically from Brazil. If you go back, she describes being in that room in great detail. And she like names it without even seeing that picture.
Which room?
The one we just showed, 17.
Okay.
This one. So she describes everything. She describes the curtain. There's like, it's not in this, but there's also like a bookshelf with all kinds of lotions and massage stuff. But she's been in that room. So it's all very weird. And I guess there's a window back there. They just wanted to make sure that there was no
couldn't see inside.
Into it. Yeah.
What's that machine there? Is that a machine?
I don't know. It is a machine of some sort.
No, I do you think he had like machines that could do ultrasound?
Yeah, I do have a picture of that ultrasound. One of the biggest things on my social media was showing this ultrasound at the island. Like maybe you would know if this is an ultrasound or not. But it's either a beauty device or an ultrasound or both. I don't know if you can bring that up.
Let me see. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay.
Does that look? It looks to me like an ultrasound.
Looks like an ultrasound. It could maybe be like I can't see it being like an EKG machine, but they kind of move around like that.
It seems to be attached to something to its right. Like there's something close to it. So maybe that's the monitor. But there are pictures of like infants in ultrasound too. So whether they've taken that themselves or not or what.
I wonder if there's ultrasound for like brain activity.
That would tie into our last show, right? It's
yeah.
Like the music and brain thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Steve. This is in some kind of like spa room, right? So like there's two girls in the state of undress. There's a shower. Looks like a sauna in the background or a shower. One of the interesting things is this symbol. This is kind of like a modified tesseract. Square within a square within a square. So it's kind of like a power square. It's kind of interesting that. Then there's this motif and this is maybe has to do, it's got a form of art, I guess. It's interior design. But it's like this idea of like keeping people in control. So if you're like a magus or something like that, you get people to Little St. James and you put them in the Tesseract and then you control them, right? So it's almost like a black magic process or an alchemical process, maybe, if you will. It's like you bring in the brown and leave it at gold, or whatever it is. You bring in the Degrado and next thing you know, this person's yours.
Right.
After you blackmail them or doing that.
Now, wasn't there some connection? I forget. I did a little bit of research on it. Can't remember all of it. But wasn't there some sort of connection with his temple to bathhouses in the Middle East?
Yes, there's no question. And it's in the files. Like one of the interesting things is before the files drop, people are like, oh, this looks like a temple from a certain culture. It's either in the Middle East or something like that. And then people went into the files, and sure enough, there is the exact thing they were talking about in the files. So somebody like an astute researcher, I wish I could give him credit, but they actually traced the thing to something that was in the files. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Right.
It means that they'd come to the conclusion, and then when the Epstein files dropped in December and January, then it was there. And this is that file. This validates somebody's independent research. If you could bring that up.
Oh, yes, there it is. Perfect.
So this is EFTA 011-888-51. And he's talking, I forgot who Nicola was. But it's two Jeffs, so like they're talking back and forth I was thinking paint the blocks of rock getting horizontal lines like the picture of Tatch, and then it's Aleppo. You can see Aleppo 18 right there, inline images. And then I think Jeff says from Jeff. So he sends him the picture. Mamluk architecture pictures. The arch has smaller blocks, sides of the door. And I don't even know what the importance of this building is. Like, what's the importance? Does this building have some meaning to Jeff? I don't know.
I'm wondering if it goes to the pre-Islamic pagan religions where they would worship the Mecca, right? Like the Mecca was there. It was just kind of reformed into a monotheistic religion after its original state in how it was worshipped. But they worshipped something like, I think it was 360 gods. And it was, I want to say it was like Baal was the number one deity of all of them. I could be wrong.
Well, wasn't Allah one of the gods from the pantheon of gods at that time?
I think so. Oh, okay. So the god that I'm talking about that is connected to Baal is called Hadad, also known as Baal Hadad in the ancient Semitic and Mesopotamian god of storms, thunder, rain, and fertility. So very similar to a god of like Zeus, for example. You think he was into paganism? Or maybe just worship to deities or gods? I mean,
it's a good question. I don't
I mean,
I don't know totally. I mean, he has that weird statuary, so it's like he likes the darker things. He has the weird statuary at Little St. James. Is interested in the gates of hell and all these other kind of dark things. The Massacre of the Innocents. According to so I don't know the answer. Like, it's not overt, but he has friends who are into like doing Baal worship, like Scott Josephson. Integrated like literal pizza going into a pizza oven like it was a Baal thing into one of his movies back in 2007. It's like part of the deviant art.
Yeah.
That according to this is according to Grok, this is some kind of North African architecture. Radial sunburst or fan pattern in the tympanum above the door. Ottoman influenced design. Mausoleum. They serve as religious shrines or pilgrimage sites.
And I see that dome on the top of the building. And that has connections to ISIS. It has connections, like for example, the Capitol building that we have in our Washington, D.C. Right? It's got Egyptian architecture to it. But I'm wondering if the blue and the white is standing out to me somewhere. I'm trying to look up and see where I think I've seen something like that connected to the goddess. Okay. It's the High Priestess tarot card. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's there's a few colors that symbolically characterize her, and she's got two pillars on each side of her, and the colors that she's draped in are blue and white. She's actually holding like a scroll that says Torah.
Wow,
it's interesting. Let's see if I can pull that up.
Oh, there she is. Yeah, sure enough.
Right.
Blue and white in between the pillars. It's also weird too that didn't Ellen DeGeneres have like the same colors and motifs in the background? Like it's like they're just signaling you with symbols and stuff, you know.
Yeah. And then that's like the fertility symbolism behind her with the grapes and the palm trees and all that kind of stuff. This is kind of like Yaking and Boaz, Freemasonry, which even on his island, he also had like this huge sundial, right?
Right. We saw the Ishtar last time.
Right.
So it would make sense because if you remember that temple that he had on his island, it was surrounded by palm trees.
Yes.
So he had the symbolism down, right? So he had the temple with the palm trees. And then there's the high priestess, which is your kind of mother goddess motif into a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm. The what else did he have? I know he had he liked Aphrodite. I know that he had some centaur sculptures. I even think he had an owl was another one. One of the most craziest thing, dude, was the statue that looked like Enki. Like Enki has a very distinct, headdress that he wears, and it's kind of got like coils on it, which you could tell from this drone footage that I saw. You could definitely tell that had to be, Mesopotamian Enki god.
Like that's going back to the old gods like Ishtar and the Middle Eastern gods.
Yeah. Right. Let me see here. I wanted to look through some more of these slides. What is this?
This is from the, you can see the two different Bates numbers. This is from inside of his mansion. So you have religious iconography, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he mixes it up with this occultism and then this, like a prayerful Jesus or a prayerful saint or something. I don't know.
Almost maybe like a cosmic Christ, maybe in some sort of way.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I don't know, right?
This is his ballerina in his bathroom. He has a ballerina's leg, and that's one of the aspects of him I didn't understand is that was another thing that maybe it was his fetish, but he also recruited or trafficked girls out of like ballerina schools and stuff like that. And there was one actually who was in Congress actually in the last month, and she said that she was recruited out of a dancing school. So it just shows how vast it is. Like they were just constantly churning females, like just incredible levels,
Right.
Just like
right.
just didn't stop. Like it was just part of his thing. And I don't know how much he got paid or if he got paid, but it seems like if you are trafficking that many people, you're getting paid, somewhere. I don't know how you're getting paid. I don't know how it gets done. Jeff seemed to know how to do it. Or launder it, I guess is a way to put it.
I don't know. I typed these little things in here. I wanted to see what you think of this. But it's the occult symbolism of the ballerina. And pretty much it's kind of interesting. It kind of goes towards the Hindu religion. You've got the symbolism of the Nataraja, the cosmic dancer. But then over here, it also says in the occult esoteric traditions, the ballerina is a powerful archetype of spiritual transcendence, dualism in the soul's journey. She represents mastery of the physical body to connect with the divine or supernatural, acting as a medium between the earthly realm and the spiritual unknown. Oh, there's a movie out. What movie is that? Dang, it's about these girls. They are hired to do dance work for elites, and the elites watch them as they dance. And the whole movie was based about when these girls start dancing, they actually transcend into another realm, a spiritual realm, where they have to go and find the fifth element and bring it back. It was trippy. It was wild. What movie is that, chat? Let me see if I can maybe look it up.
I also put another picture up there. This is one of the girls who was trafficked out of a ballerina. or a
me
dance
see.
studio. Her name was Bensky, Danny Bensky. Like some of them are coming. I didn't know this girl's name, but she had the courage to come forward. This obviously got no press in the United States, but there was, I mean, like Virginia Giuffre's brother was here, and this is the 28th, April 20th, 2026.
Gotcha.
Here's another kind of like ballet. There's the ballerina.
Sucker Punch. Yes, that was the movie. The movie was Sucker Punch. Yes. Thank you, Bacon. Let's go. I gotta look that up.
I'll have to look that up. I've never heard of Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat was the one who turned me on to Zack Snyder. Somebody turned me on to Blink Twice, which overlaps with some of this presentation. It's incredible stuff.
I see you, Daniel. I see you. I see you, Sucker Punch. I see you as well. Everybody's on it, man. I'm glad I could have I'm glad I described it at least somewhat decent, because the movie's so trippy.
This is live, guys. We are live. This is not
Let's
pre-recorded.
go.
People keep asking that. Can't you? Isn't there some way to discern whether it's live or not?
It should say
Show
live.
live. Yeah, it should say live on
Premiere.
YouTube.
Yeah. Premiere would be more of a recorded.
If you missed
show.
our show on Bannon and Epstein, I mean, you gotta listen to that one. We just did it Friday. Today's Tuesday.
Yeah, that was a banger. That was a good
Amazing.
one.
He admitted so much stuff. He admitted basically like what everybody thought is that the money men are the guys really pulling the strings on the politician. He totally admitted it right at the beginning. And it's just like the politicians are their marionettes. They're their ballerinas in a way. But the ballerina and marionette are pretty similar. But,
Right. This is the movie here. Yeah. So whenever she goes in to see how they're all kind of like dancers in some sort of way, she gets in their dancing trance, and then boom, blasts off into a whole nother world where they become like these. They fight against these archons, right? And as they're fighting these archons, it's like a video game. You get to the next level, and then you get one element of life. Maybe it's air, and then you get like fire, and then you get water, and then so on and so forth until you get the fifth element. The fifth element would be that ether, like maybe that philosopher's stone. Yeah, it's wild. Looking at some of the some more of these here. What is this?
This is just a pic. This is one of the pictures of the interior of Zorro Ranch. It had a lot of pictures of like heraldry and royalty for some reason, but that's the way the decor was put together.
It was crazy, right? In his interview, he talks about, Zorro Ranch, talks about very briefly, right? But he talks about pretty much how he was funding these scientists doing strange things.
He sure did, yeah. Trying to find this ballerina picture. There's one where he has this girl who sends him stuff about like, she's clear. Oh, here it is. Here, this is like classic kind of dancing poses. Nobody's ever really seen this one. Like I went on some Epstein picture jag, and nobody's really ever seen this. But if you could show this. This is Epstein with some ballerina. He's doing a dance with her. I'm pretty sure this is the kitchen in Little St. James.
Gotcha. What year was this?
I wish I knew. I don't know.
Yeah. Man, these files are...
There's just so much stuff in there, dude. It's a huge number.
Yeah. I mean...
Huge. It's terabytes. And they kept so much out from us. They've kept a lot away from us. It's just like, oh, here it is. Here's a picture. This one's kind of risque, but there's a lot of porn, but there's a lot of pictures of ballerina. He had either an interest, or the people he was tracking him had an interest in ballerinas. Like
Yeah.
this is it. So there's a lot of pictures on this pole. I don't know what they call them, but girls have this kind of like dance pole thing.
Oh, yes.
But this is like one of many. Like,
Jeez.
so I think that was one of their hunting grounds, I guess. Yeah, the same kitchen where they made the beef jerky. That's right. No Me Blacks. Yeah, there's a lot of video. Like, they admitted it. They freaking admitted that, like, Blanche literally said in public they had 2.3 million files that included death, torture, and CSAM. So we don't even know the totality of how dark he was, you know?
Right.
You can kind of get through it. Here's another one of like, and this is a different massage room. I don't know where this is. I don't think it's in Manhattan, but it's just like, look at the art he chose.
Right.
It's like the same artist as the other one. Like, it's not a beautiful picture of Yosemite or mountains or plains or something. It's like a girl who's just got out of a concentration camp or something.
Jeez.
I don't know what else. Something. It's not like a flattering picture, or somebody who was a drug addict or something, right?
Yeah. He loved massages, man. I mean,
Yeah, it's a euphemism for his like sex thing.
okay.
I don't really even know if they massaged his back. Like, that's the
Right.
whole thing. Like, they don't go, oh, Jeff came in and then I needed his back and his feet or whatever. It's just like, then he told me to take my clothes off. Like, it
Right.
wasn't, there's no like 30 minutes of like, he really had tense shoulders. This is called Something of the Morning. This is a full wall at the, it's a very dark, weird picture. And it's a full wall in the mansion in one of the rooms. Specifically bought that. That's a mansion, naked girls on inner tubes.
Jeez. Is that Bill Gates right there?
Sure is.
Oh my goodness.
Sure is.
Wow. Okay.
So intro to Zorro Ranch.
Right. That Z is there's some sort of symbolism behind that Z that's specific.
It also has a pitchfork on it too.
Oh, that's what it is. It's like the
another
devil's
cool thing.
tail. Yes. That's wild.
We've talked about that. That's the full screen of the thing at Little St. James, right? Music to the Brain.
Yeah, the right side I've yet to really kind of try and figure out.
It's just another mystery.
I know.
I mean, why would he keep it up too? Like, it doesn't look like it was taken off. This is just like shows his huge network. This is a Twitter post from P. Chabriant. But there was somebody, according to Brunel, there was like another pedo photographer, and he killed himself. Yeah, they had some girl, Helen Hoegberg, who was there. Like, it just shows the network. Brunel, there are stories of Brunel drugging women and raping them, and he's with Epstein all the time. They're hanging out all the time. There's pictures of them going places, and I think they're very close, intimate friends.
Yeah. Bacon says, seeking a Kundalini experience. I agree. I think that's why he was he had a lot of connections with Deepak Chopra and
Sure did.
A lot of these gurus, and trying to seek out spiritual enlightenment in many different ways.
Chopra said things to Epstein that weren't exactly very, what do you call it? That weren't very like spiritually enlightened. I wouldn't say that was your highest chakra. Take a look at this picture and tell me what you see. This is Deepak Chopra.
Oh, the red shoes. The red shoes.
I think this is from the files, man. I think that this is from inside the files. There's weird videos of him in the files too. But he's always walking around in black, and this is a different. Watch this. It's a different set of pictures. Just likes those red shoes. Pretty weird.
Oh man, I tell you what, man.
And here's one. For some reason, they edited out this. This is from the files. For some reason, they edited this out. But he's doing yoga with somebody that may not be age appropriate, is a way to put it, I guess. Watch this.
Oh, geez.
This is in the. There's videos of him in the files. Unbelievable, huh?
Wow. What's his? You know, I haven't done much study into him, but what's his association with? You know, is he an American? Does he have a business
I don't know.
over
I think
here?
he's supposed to be a spiritual leader. I think that's really it. But I can't say I followed his career.
Let me see. Okay. So he is an American
It's like
author,
a well-being, yeah.
New Age guru, and alternative medicine advocate, a prominent figure in the New Age movement. Knew that.
The New Ager.
Yeah. There's
Look
so
at-
many New Agers, man.
Pull up this video. This is one of the emails from Epstein. But the two, like, who's he sending these emails to is incredible. Like, I'm on a flight to Zurich. Oh, living rough, right? He's going to Switzerland. It's clear we all experience reality through different cognitive filters. So he's got the kind of New Age mumbo jumbo down. He's sending this to Michael Shermer. If you know these names, Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins. Like some of these I don't know. Lawrence Krauss. Like these are all people. These are all like atheists. Like they're known atheists. Sam Harris is all over the place. But this is like this is the whole thing about the network. Harris has been, by the way, to the Epstein mansion. There are like emails about him visiting the mansion.
Lawrence Krauss. Yeah, that super familiar there. Hold on. Let me look him up.
Discover your cosmic self. That's what you can do with Deepak.
Yeah, these are all people that hate Christianity.
Yeah, there's no like thing about this.
Jeez. Let's see what else we got here. Who's this?
This is Auguste Rodin. He's like probably one of the more famous sculptors of the 20th century.
Got some more dark Algredo sculptures.
This is his most famous sculpture, The Thinker. And this, I would just read this out loud to your audience. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
Because it's to Jeffrey from this guy at the Musée de Rodin. So it's from the Rodin Museum.
It says, I spoke to a gentleman today from the Musée Rodin Ray, the Gates of Hell. The museum really wants its pieces to be exhibited publicly. So if purchased, placed in a museum for all to see. If a piece is purchased for private use it becomes complicated. The man wanted to know if you had anything to do with the person in Geneva who has also recently asked for a price, has interest in the gates of hell. I requested this gentleman, please give me a price, and he said he can only give me an idea of price as it is up on the board of trustees. They give the final price. You must send a written letter to the director of the board for this. It's a process. But finally, he gave me the idea of price as 22 to 25 million euros. Wow, that's a lot of money. The man said he had received my emails as well and would respond back with a synopsis of this information. I have yet to receive it. I sent another email to him. M. Avari.
Right. So it's a huge piece, and they're selling it for 22 to 25 million euros. Right. So that's the process. That's 2015. And one of the intro thing that led me through this kind of one of the threads is because of the pictures that I saw. If you scroll down a little bit, you should see the pictures of what the gates of hell look like.
I can't scroll down.
Oh, okay. Well, if you
Gotcha.
can click forward.
Okay.
This is another one. They're just talking back and forth about the gates of hell, about how
Gotcha.
much it is. There were only 8 cast, so there would be the 9th one cast would be this. And this is a back and forth between them, to Jeff, Hugues, Erpen, or somebody from France about the contract. So they're going through the back and forth of stuff to facilitate this transaction. I don't think it ever happened, but you can see the Bates number, the EFTA number there on the bottom. But it is interesting. There are Chu Jeffrey from I don't know why this blanked out. This is just a business transaction. Like the redactions don't make any sense unless you're just trying to cover everything up.
Right.
But it's to FYI, I've spoken with the Rodin Museum and they asked me to please send an email to Madame Avar a piece of the price for the gates of hell. Call the museum again tomorrow. So they're talking about it. And Jeffrey sent this email on Halloween, right? Here's the motif again. Same thing you'll see happened in the Massacre of the Innocents. Call the museum and find out how much for the gates of hell. So he has a link to a New York Times article. This is the gates of hell. So you'll see the EFTA number on the bottom hand right. It's a very impressive piece. It's probably 14, 15 feet tall. And that's the thinker. It's in the center there. You see that. And this is at Stanford University. There's an outside sculpture garden. So either Jeff or somebody in his retinue or Elaine went there and took these pictures of this very intimidating, very scary, I would say very occult influenced piece of art from a variety of different perspectives, right? So,
right. And it's based off of Dante's Inferno.
Correct.
Wow.
Then he also took one about this spherical caryatid that's carrying a rock. It's interesting because there's 20 or 30 pieces of sculpture in the sculpture garden, but this is the one that he took. And a caryatid is it's a pagan theme. It's something that it's like a statue that upholds a temple. So it's interesting that he keyed into this term and stuff like that. So it's kind of a reference to paganism. Wow. It's a direct reference to paganism, actually.
Right.
Here it is. Fallen caryatid carrying her stone. Caryatid had fallen under the weight of their stone. And I mean, maybe it's his anti-female thing. I think he's a misogynist of the highest level. And maybe this is why he looked at this. Yes, this exact sculpture is in Palo Alto. It's part of the B. Gerald Cantor Rodin Sculpture Garden, Stanford University's Visual Arts. So it's just interesting that he took this. There's a Rodin connection to Aleister Crowley. So Crowley, who's one of the great occultists of the 20th century, wrote poems about caryatids and Rodin in a book. He wrote praise for Rodin.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's it. 7 lithographs by Aleister Crowley. Watercolors of Auguste Rodin with a chaplet of verse by Aleister Crowley. And then this is called The Massacre of the Innocents. You can see the EFTA number there. This is from the files. This isn't from me, right? But he wanted this for the entrance of this creepy Zorro L ranch. 9 by 9. So he didn't want a small framed, 12 by 12. He wanted a very massive, impressive piece of this. Are you familiar with the story of the Massacre of the Innocents?
No. Okay,
good. We can read about them. Do you feel like reading this part of the Bible? It's Matthew 2.
Let me see. Is it the full Is it full chapter?
It's the full chapter all the way to it's Matthew 1 through 18. But I think it shows that his darker aspect of Epstein. We don't have to read it, but I think it's important. It's celebrated in the Christian church. I think I know for sure the Catholic Church celebrate or memorializes the date. Because what it is, I mean, I can summarize it for you. Christ is born, the Magi travel to lay their gifts before the Messiah, right? Frankincense, myrrh, and gold, and then leave. Herod finds out that they're there, and they leave by another route. They're warned by an angel. And then he gets angry, and he asks his kind of wise men, where will the Messiah be born? And they say Bethlehem. So Herod says, kill every child under the age of 2 in Bethlehem. And so the troops carry it out, and Christ is warned. I think Joseph is warned to take the child to Egypt. Mm-hmm. And that fulfills another biblical prophecy, which is, out of Egypt I've called my son. So it's almost similar to Moses coming out of Egypt to the promised land.
Right.
But it's a long one. So anyway.
Wow.
Sarah Kellen was literally just brought into Congress yesterday or last week for questioning. Do you feel like reading this? This is from 2011, July.
Yeah. So it says, hi, Jeffrey. Oh, where was it?
61.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, Rich. Jeffrey is asking if you can FedEx the painting he had made of the Massacre of the Innocents to the ranch. It's the large 9x9 canvas that we had rolled out for him to see in the entryway where they are killing babies. He wants to use it on the ranch and is hoping you could FedEx it to arrive by Wednesday. Thanks, Sarah. Wow.
Straight up admission, right? Not that it's a great piece of art or he really likes the artist. It's the one where they're killing the babies. They should have asked him about this asked Kellen about this in Congress.
Right.
And then Epstein sends something. If you would like to see my house to get things done, please do so. Where's the furniture being delivered? Referring to the Massacre of Innocents. So Jeff knows exactly what's going on. Like, he's very aware that this is being delivered. He wants the price by the 9x9, which is an interesting number in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
9x9, yeah.
It's just 9 is like an occult powered number. It's why there's like 9 things in the Church of Satan, because it's the prime number before 10, and it doesn't repeat itself or something like that.
Gotcha.
Here's Sarah. Hey, Rich. Jeff is asking if you can FedEx the painting you made of the Massacre of the Innocents to the ranch. Oh, I already repeated that one. Sorry. This guy, that's the Massacre of the Innocents. This guy is another one of interest. His name is Andres Serrano, like the Serrano chili. And he writes pretty spicy stuff. Are you familiar with these album covers?
No.
Metallica, Load and Reload. He did those too for Metallica. These are like bodily fluids, very occult stuff.
Really?
Yeah, but he's mostly famous for this piece of work. At least this is the one that got the most, outrage and public calumny or whatever. This is called Piss Christ.
Really?
Yeah, so it's literally a crucifix in urine.
Oh my god!
So when I said deviant art, like I meant deviant art. Like this
wow.
Is deviant. Yeah, this is dark stuff.
Oh man, you're not playing, bro.
Yeah. So also the same theme here. Paeta, Christ in piss. But they had an interest in this thing. I showed it in the intro where they had the praying Jesus or saint or something. But they had an interest, Andres and Epstein had an interest in Christian religious iconography. And they wanted this Madonna, put out.
Yeah.
They wanted this traded, or they were going to change it. And this was a gift. It seems to be a gift from Epstein to Serrano, which could be a way to transfer value through gifts, right?
Right. It's almost like their own way of bartering in some sort of way.
Tax-free or something. I don't know.
Right.
It said Epstein beat him to it, yeah. But it's interesting, after Epstein died, He was this Serrano guy is featured in, I think this is a Vanity Fair piece.
So it says, so the artist, the Madonna, and the last known portrait of Jeffrey Epstein. In his work, Andres Serrano has long made art out of provocation. He's now sharing the details of how shortly before Epstein's arrest and death in 2019, he acquired a 16th century Madonna statue from the financier. That's wild. I didn't know that when I was bringing up, the Black Madonna to you.
There you go.
You
So
know what I'm
maybe
saying?
they're playing around with it. Like that, maybe that whole thing in the entryway that we showed at the beginning is a Black Madonna representation of it.
Right.
Like, I don't know. But Serrano took the last known portrait or picture of Epstein. He called it infamous. There he is. So this
Yep.
is a picture by Serrano. There's actually a picture within the picture. One of the interesting things about Serrano and Epstein is their connection to Trump. Because Serrano did a full thing on Trump. He did a full kind of museum display. He's done a variety of different displays, like provocative type displays all over the world. Ireland, Europe, all these other places. But this was one. And he spent a bunch of money on Trump memorabilia. But it's ego. But that picture in the background was done by Serrano. So Trump sat for a portrait of both, that was affiliated with Serrano, who did Epstein.
What do you think of the sculpture there of ego?
That's a good question. I mean, they
Because
have him down. Like
I'm wondering, because it's kind of like they have to destroy the ego, right, or something. I don't know. I'm kind of like, it's an occult thing, so I'm wondering.
You're supposed to destroy the ego to cross the abyss or something like that, but it's supposed to be like it's on your path, like your occult journey pathway or something.
Right.
But yeah, this is just amazing stuff. So in this display, he had all of Trump on the media. He had Trump's birthday cake, some kind of log from there. That's MT and Melania and Donald, I guess. So he had a lot of stuff there. But this is from Serrano. He took his picture. Wow. This is another interesting connection in the art world. There's a guy, David A. Ross, who wrote an article. This is him. This is fairly recent, February 3rd, 2026. But he was fired after his relationship with Epstein. But this article doesn't go into great detail of what the totality of his relationship was. The article is really interesting. It's art news again, but you can look at these things that he sent to Jeff from David. Jeff, it's depressing to see how you're once again being dragged through the mud. I'm still proud to call you a friend. I know you are strong, but still, hope we can catch up sometime soon. This is 2015. This is after Jeff's conviction, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is from from Jeff to David Ross. Do you feel like reading this email?
Yeah, Roman Polinsky. So Roman Polinsky
Attorney. It's like a
attorney. Okay. Are coming to see me. I might want to fund an exhibition entitled "Statutory: Girls and Boys Ages 14 to 25, where they look nothing like their true ages. Juvenile mugshots, Photoshop, makeup. Some people go to prison because they can't tell true age. Controversial, fun. Maybe it should be a web page with hits tallied." Golly.
So Jeff is advising David, who I just showed his picture, who just got fired, that Roman Polanski, who left the country after being convicted of pedophilia, like having sex with a 14 or 13-year-old girl, said he wanted to fund an exhibition entitled "Statutory." Like, well, who uses the word statutory unless it's statutory rape, right? I don't know if it's used in any other context commonly. Girls and boys aged 14 to 25 that look nothing like their true age. Wow. And some people get to go to prison over it. Like, he's literally like advising stuff that would confuse people and make them go to prison. So he's like literally poisoning the culture. So like somebody could make a mistake thinking the person's 18 or whatever, or 20. So he's sending that to David Ross. And then Ross replies, yes, this should be a web-based exhibition, totally global and totally open as a 2.0 platform for the ranting. I think he meant like seeing of everyone. But what's interesting is what they referenced earlier is David Ross references something called to Jeff 2009. He calls Jeff incredible. You are incredible. This would be a very powerful and freaky book. Do you know that total porno commercial kitty picture of blank that Richard Prince appropriated for an exhibition in the early 1980s? Are you talking to us? And then Jeff responds, literally in 4 minutes. He responds to Ross, yes, they closed it off in the London show. So he knows what Ross is saying, that there's a photo of a kitty picture by Richard Prince, and Jeff knows it. Well, this probably is before your time, but I'm old enough to remember that picture was of a young Brooke Shields. It was this picture where they have her, like she's prepubescent with makeup. Like this is like what a woman wears, like necklace and stuff. But this was a big scandal, and I think it was I thought it was associated with Playboy and what's this guy's name? What's the guy who founded Playboy? Hugh Hefner.
Yeah.
But it's like super dark. But these guys knew it like right away. Like they're like, yeah, we close it off in the show. And this is from EFTA 018185548. So it's like in there. But they're literally doing it. And I showed this one earlier. This is Jorg Alvarez's coming of age ceremony at Epstein's house.
Jeez.
Also from Art News. And this has got a very dark motif. Like there's like demon images in the background and women on chaise lounges and occult references. This is it. Like I don't even know what's going on. Like it's just
right.
Like, doves and horns, and there's like the red figures are dancing in the background. Like
I mean, was that alligator on the bottom?
I think that's an alligator or some type of lizard with a headdress on. I don't know. I mean, the whole thing is weird.
It is.
Clear, the guy's holding a mirror, right? So on the bottom left, he's holding a mirror, which it's like a scrying mirror. So
right.
I think that's what they use.
Right.
But
I wonder what culture that is. Like with the stuff that they're wearing around their neck.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Right.
They signed Alvarez. And this is it. Actually, at one point, it was like in storage. So this could be one of the things we talked about at the intro of the show. Is this like another thing they're trading or manipulating money about or whatever? You know what I mean?
Right, right.
This is another one that's pictured EFTA 002511242992, excuse me. But it's like a baby in a sink holding a rattle, and it's called the shrimp. It's just very weird. And it's art. This art is in Little St. James in the kitchen. There's pictures of Epstein in front of it. I don't really have that. There it is. That's the picture of Epstein. And some girl on her hands and knees. I don't know what the heck she's doing, but she's under the table. You can see the EFTA numbers there.
Who are these guys in this photo? Have you found out maybe?
I don't know.
I'm wondering what they're talking about.
Everybody who was close to Epstein now denies that they knew him, you know? Like they're around him, but then all of a sudden it's like, nope, never met the guy. I have no idea. And then all of a sudden they show up in the files, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I feel like discovered stuff recently where he was going to big time, like grand openings of films with first rate actors and stuff. Like he was around. He'd be invited to these heavy duty things in New York. Like seemed to be a person everybody wanted to know. This is an interesting guy. This is a recent thing. His name is Jean Pigozzi, and he's also around. He was like the author of the Celebrity Selfie, but he was kind of close with Epstein and in his circle, but he took a lot of pictures of like very famous people. And this is kind of how the other half lives. And he also liked African art. Notice the mask in the background, much like the masks
Right.
at Little St. James. So like mask wearing. But here he is with everybody. Lady Gaga, Hunter S. Thompson, Andy Warhol, U2, Jack Nicholson.
Jeez. Bunch of other occultists, probably.
Dennis Hopper, right? Probably. Schwarzenegger.
It says here, African occult practices encompass a rich diversity of indigenous spiritual systems, magical traditions, and esoteric knowledge originating from the continent. They generally focus on ancestral veneration, utilizing natural elements for healing, communicating with the spirit world, and maintaining harmony within the community.
There you go. In the spirit world. Here he is with Paris Hilton, Deneuve. He's in the book. He's in the Black Book, and he just published a book about his selfies from 1972 to 2016. Koons is like an infamous artist too, and he I'd definitely call it transgressive art, but he attended a dinner with Epstein just once. I don't think they didn't have the same kind of relationship that Andre Serrano did, but it just shows that Epstein was aware of this guy.
Oh, it says here, Jeff Koons is affiliated with his art with many different approaches. These approaches having connections with pseudo-spiritual transcendence, metaphysics, and self-acceptance.
He had a porn star wife at one point, and same type of provocative art type stuff, you know. But
right.
I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg. What I really need to do is go back. I mean, including some of the stuff that you showed me on Friday, but go back and put all of the art in each different, mansion. So New Mexico, Florida, New York, and Little St. James.
Right, man. Right.
So I think that just shows the broader connections and network of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Brother, thank you, man. I appreciate you sharing your work with us and showing these images that you collected throughout all the files that you've kind of dug into. There's still so much more to dig into.
Still learning. There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Did it show how many people were in the chat? Is it show on your side?
Yeah, it's we had, touching 200, so it's pretty nice. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. If there's any questions, please throw them in the chat. Get them in there. We're getting ready to come into a landing with this bad boy. So if anyone has any questions for William.
What was that guy's name you mentioned in the last one? You did a show with Courtney Turner. It was
Gino Yu.
Yu. Yeah. What was his story? I forgot to ask you about that.
Oh yeah, Gino Yu, man. He so I've listened to some podcasts that he's been on, and how he was affiliated with Jeffrey is he was a video game creator. He was into digital art, and he went on and pretty much took a journey in the early 90s to go out into the eastern side of the world. He got affiliated with a bunch of different mystical practices out there. He studied different religions out there, and he kind of came up with his own religion. And it's so funny how his story lines up with all the other occultists. For example, Blavatsky, she went out to into Eastern mysticism, got out of that, and then came up with Theosophy. So he kind of did like the same thing. He just didn't come up with a name of it, but he came up with a multi-stage model with how to ascend your consciousness and to self-realize. And that's something that he's shared in the emails. There's this kind of occult buzz term of self-awareness, self-realization, which pretty much is when you have ascended your consciousness, or you've gotten to the fifth stage of his model, which is the last stage, that you can start to incorporate supernatural abilities. You can, it's all part of like this new age human potential movement where, if you can consciously get in touch with your divine spark, you can be a god. And pretty much how his affiliation and his relationship with Jeffrey was that Jeffrey was interested in his work. Jeffrey was interested in everybody's work, but he would go back and forth with the emails with him, trying to understand where people are, who were the best candidates to exploit the model that he has. And if there are special abilities, how can we fund this, and how can we incorporate this into our own lives? Yada, 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 stuff like that.
And so he's like in that kind of new age influencer kind of
Yes.
realm, right?
Yeah. I forget the
Same
business
thing.
he had.
All like trying to like, and Jeff's like influencing them or financing them or giving him money to. It's That's like a whole nother show. Is his like his philanthropathology or whatever, like who he was giving money to. I think those are huge tells. One of the things that's interesting about the last conversation we had is he briefly mentions Mercer to Bannon. I don't know if you caught that, but Mercer is a big kind of financer from the right. Like I would put him in a very conservative kind of mindset. And he's supposedly been behind financing some of the right-wing influencers without ever disclosing, So some of these people out there who are promoting this kind of conservative MAGA stuff are financed by Mercer. So it was interesting for Epstein to acknowledge that he knew who this guy was. It shows how much he knew,
Yeah. In 1992, that's when he had his awakening experience. I got a show on Gino, you dude. If you want a show,
that'll be
it's
on
crazy.
one. Yeah, let's calendar that for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in the people who surround. I did a show on Trivers. I don't know. One of my earliest shows was on Trivers, because for people who hadn't heard that, I did one with Tommy's podcast. It's because he was intentionally talking with Epstein about intentionally upgrading and downgrading sensitivity in cells for testosterone, so that they could literally create a whole new pheno or genotype, like without people even knowing. Like that's how crazy this stuff is. It's third-party people involved in like literally alchemically changing human beings without their knowledge. So the fact that the men aren't as strong and aggressive these days may be by design. They're putting stuff in our shots and food without our consent. And Epstein's just the kind of piece of trash who would do that. Like he literally wouldn't have any conscience. There's no element of any conscience in any of his writings or any of his human connections. He never goes, maybe that was wrong. Maybe we shouldn't do this, or maybe this isn't a good idea, or maybe you should consult somebody else. And so he's still looking, but never like pulls back.
Right. Here's one of the emails I saw someone share on X, and then I went and looked it up myself. So it pretty much talks about in January 2018, the email to Jeffrey Epstein from someone named Gino Yu is deeply disturbing. He says, she is a classic stage 3 in the model, his model, outlier who is intelligent, was traumatized when she was young, sexually abused, and now gradually coming into her own, starting to develop special abilities. Someone was categorizing abuse survivors by stages and offering to connect them to Epstein. The email also mentions a London group using iboga, a psychedelic psychedelic from Gabon, under something called alternate paradigms. And this is the email right here. Gino Yu. She's a classic stage three. So the email says, am in Paris and was about to write you. It popped up. She's a classic stage three in the model. Pretty much everything that I said earlier. But it's interesting because the stage three and I picked this up from an interview that he did with somebody, and I pretty much printed out the transcript so that in case like it gets taken off, because I mean like his name was blowing up all over the place, and it says collapse and dark night. There's three, that's the main stage of it, but there's three different parts of it, and it's energetic crash, realization, and then spiritual emergency framing. And it aligns with a few other affiliates known as Stanislav Grof and Christina Grof in their work with consciousness. Consciousness, reality being incomplete, but then being complete once again. So it's kind of like that chaos, that breakdown, and then that revival after it. And it's very similar to this too, because I've heard this in neurosurgery, where people will have trauma to the brain, and then when they heal from it, they'll actually develop more intuitive feelings, right? And they'll actually maybe start to kind of like have some sort of different abilities that they didn't have before the blood clot or the traumatic brain injury from hitting their head on the ground or something, or this or that. So it's kind of like that's what they try to do, cause trauma, and then it instigates something to happen in the brain, and then it's kind of like out of chaos comes that next level. It's all occult, so I don't really understand it entirely.
But they were looking into it. That's the thing. He's like asking questions about brains and amnesia, all this stuff, psychological states. It's just too much.
It is. Gino U's fun, man. We'll get into it, man.
Yeah,
but,
next time, guys, keep an eye out. We'll probably be on live streaming in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that'll be fun, man.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to
appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Where can they check out all your stuff, man?
Yeah, William Ramsey Investigates podcast. My Patreon is William Ramsey Investigates. I've got 5 documentaries there, 5 books on Amazon. You can also buy them from my website, William Ramsey Investigates. And I think I'm up to like 1,700 original episodes on my podcast. I do repost stuff from Visigoth, who I call Visigoth the Great, one of the earlier podcasters. There's an archive there a lot of people don't know. But if you are a guy who works late at night or is a podcast junkie, he had over like 1,000 shows too. And they're really some of the early people who are still around. I just reposted Catherine Austin Fitz, but also he did great interviews with a lot of people who are still reverberating around in the alternate media, like Dave McGowan or some of these other names. So check out Visigoth's archives. You can just type it into Google, but I'm the one who kind of runs the whole show there. But yeah, thanks for having me again. It's great to be with you. Great talking with you.
Yeah, definitely, man. I see you had Andrew on 6G.
Yeah. We're doing another
him.
one. We're going to have an Andrew on next week. We are going to talk about the film Zodiac. So people check it out. Look for it. I think we're scheduled for, trying to notify people more about that, but I think we're scheduled for the 2nd. So we're going to talk about the Zodiac. We've covered some stuff about Aquino and his potential, or, I mean, if you look at Zodiac through a murder lens, it's pretty scary. But if you look at it as a psyop, it's a brilliant psyop. Like it really like scared the living daylights out of people, super confusing. So if you were a high level psychological warfare operations perfect person, it would be like a brilliant execution. Nobody, you don't know who's doing it, and it's all over the news, and it's vague and occult, and nothing's clear cut, so it just leaves you with this kind of enemy, or I don't know what the word, like this vague a feeling of unease, like to a whole population. And if you look at it through that lens, Zodiac is amazing. It's really brilliant if somebody pulled it off like that.
Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure, man. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
likewise.
And
Till next time.
till next time, buddy. Till next time, folks.
God
But hey,
bless. God bless.
if you're still tuning in and you want to support the show, be sure to head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, like the show, share it with your friends, and also come support the channel over on Patreon, patreon.com/The Biblical Hitman. Get all of your ad free and all of the goodie bag stuff over there. And don't forget to come check out the show over on audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, and Spotify. Wherever you can consume all of your podcast content, that is where the show is. And be sure to go ahead and support the guest as well that we had today, William. He's got a great show, and he's a brother in Christ. And so I really, enjoy having him on. He's been an influence just to the podcast community in general, and it's always a pleasure having him on. Links will be in the description below. But with all that said, folks, hope you all have a great night, and see you next time.